Hey YouTube, it's been a while. It's me, Imani. Khalil, come here. And Khalil. Khalil, say hi. Hey, don't be showing your diaper on YouTube. Say, I got the boo boo baby pie. It's my mochi cookie. All right, go be free, young child. Boy. Lesson to the wise: don't pick your baby up when they're having a good time, because if you put them down, they're gonna cry. Okay, so I just want to use this video today. I want to talk about the 3 miscarriages that I dealt with. The first one I have it tattooed on my arm, was in 2016, so almost 7 years ago. And then the second one, which, I'm sorry, this one I had at 18 weeks. The second one was December 2nd, 2016 as well. So I had 2 in 2016. The second one I was 8 weeks. And the third one I was 18 weeks as well. And that one happened July 24th, 2017. So literally 1 year and 10 days later from the first one, at the same amount of weeks. Crazy. So basically, I just want to talk about the first one starting off. I was 22 years old at the time when I found out that I was pregnant. And when I first found out, of course, natural instinct is I'm very happy. Me and the dad were really happy. We were like really excited and whatnot. Our relationship was cool at the time. It was really, I was happy. He was like, I can't speak for him, but I would assume he was happy. And it was a good time. Like, it was just really good. It wasn't planned, but we were happy. And then I was working full time at WSS at the time as well. So I had a job. Wasn't, whatever. And then, yeah, so I mean, I was really excited. Just looking at it, I'm like, okay, cool, we're about to have a baby. Things are going to be great. Who knows? We may get married. Things like that. So, the pregnancy is progressing. During the pregnancy, I noticed that my leg would cramp up a lot. And I would be in so much pain. Like, it would be a sharp pain that would shoot up my leg. Like, from my leg to my thigh. It was like kind of like a Charlie horse. It felt like that. And it would happen a lot throughout the entire pregnancy. Like, literally. And I never knew what that was. I never went to the doctor to see about it. Just none of it. Like, I would just deal with it. Because I thought maybe this is just, the pressure. I'm getting heavier. Like, this is just normal, Never been pregnant before, so I didn't know. And, yeah. As far as, like, finances, wasn't really the best. It was a lot going on in my personal life that, like, money was just, I wasn't really making much money at WSS. Like, it was whatever. I was full time. I was a head cashier, but I wasn't really making like bank, So there was times where it was just rough. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but it was rough. I'll say that. As the pregnancy progressed, like in the beginning, it was cool, and then like things just took a turn, kind of like. And then relationship wise, in the beginning, it was great. Like, it was great. And, of course, throughout it, I just feel like we were really young. I can't speak for him and the other party, but like, I can only speak for myself and say that I was really young at the time, and certain things that I was like stressing about or upset about to where it would cause arguments and unnecessary stuff, like, could have taken a back burner, honestly, I will say. So there was a lot of stress on that end from the relationship part of it, and then stress from my job, and just stress, So, and I will say that care probably wasn't the greatest, from where I was being seen. My prenatal care wasn't the best. So it is what it is. But let's talk about just job. I want to talk about my job stress. So let's talk about that. Um, I was not treated the best at that job during that time. I was not getting my breaks. I was um not receiving certain accommodations that I felt were very easy. I wasn't asking for like crazy stuff like, oh, let me sit down at the register. Like, no. Just like I was working from 2 to 11 every day, you know, of course with my 2 days off. But every day that I worked, it was 2 to 11. I was closing. I was there pretty much all day. And like that was a lot for me. So there was times like it would be too late for me to eat. And sometimes I just wouldn't eat. I would be too tired. I want to go to sleep. Or, I have to eat on my lunch break and you gotta rush and it's just I'm tired, I'm standing up, it's busy, like I just need a break, like bro. And being pregnant, I should have been able to take more frequent breaks, um, which wouldn't have hurt anybody, honestly. But I was denied breaks. I was told I needed to wait, or like, for instance, I'll give you an example. One time I wanted to take a break, and my manager was like, "You need to wait." And I thought he was joking. I thought he was gonna smile. He didn't crack a smile. He didn't, cause I laughed and he wasn't laughing. And so I'm like, "Oh, he's serious." Literally told me, "You need to wait," and I'm like, and walked away. And I'm like, wow. So there was another manager there at the time, the supervisor. His name was Hector. And he was like, I was just annoyed. So I was bending over, looking, just going through it. And he was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I want to take a break. I need to take a break. I'm tired." And so and so is just not trying to let me take a break. The store manager at the time was not trying to let me take a break. And so he was like, "It's fine. Go ahead. Just go. If he says anything, I'll say I'll let you go. Just go." And so he ended up letting me go on my break. And yeah, but they were not trying to change my schedule. I asked for a better schedule. They said no. He's like, "No, you're not going to be able to do the inventory or the low, whatever that stuff is called in the beginning at the 6 in the morning shift, because you would get off at 2. That would have been perfect for me. But he was not trying to do that. Or I even asked to open so I can get off at like 5. He was not trying to do that. Because I was a head cashier. So it's like, why can't I be the opening cashier? You know what I mean? I could just, it's less work. It's less strenuous. All I'm doing is folding stuff and it's not a lot of customer activity. You know what I mean? Like, it's just easier for me. Not trying to do that. Really, honestly, they were trying to force me to quit. Because I will be honest and say that I was just going through it during that pregnancy. So I was tired a lot, not feeling well a lot. So I would call out, show up late. Like, it is what it is, man. I'm pregnant. I don't care. So I think all of that played a factor into how they treated me. They were trying to push me to quit. So they treated me as bad as they possibly could to get me to quit. I did not quit, though. Yes. So, anyway, fast forward to how did I find out? That's just throughout the pregnancy, with the job. Finances were not the best because I did not make a lot of money at this job. So there were times where I'm trying to stretch my money here and there. So there's times where like I'm living check to check. I didn't have enough money to like eat sometimes. So sometimes I would just like eat once a day or like breakfast cereal, like stupid stuff, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So my diet was not the best during that pregnancy either. And I would have to go to like McDonald's, scrape up like to get a little something off the I think they had the dollar menu at the time. So I'm like trying to get like whatever I can. Um it was crazy. But that's that. And then of course there's relationship stuff. Me and the dad at the time were just like, as the pregnancy progressed, I feel like so did like the petty arguments and the dumb stuff. And we just would like fight over the silliest things. Like, and I don't know, I can't even tell you what it was. Like, I just feel like it was just maybe because we were so young. I think that's really, really, really what it was. We were really just young, like in our prime of youngness. You know what I mean? When you're young, you ain't trying to be super serious like that. I can't speak for the other person, but like for me, I'm like, I want to get married, man. Like I'm trying to get married, bro. Like we having a baby. We're a family now. Like, but whatever. So certain things like taking accountability, I could have let slide. That wasn't that serious. Um, just stupid stuff that's not worth it. That wasn't worth it. And so it was three different stresses in my life at the time: money, job, relationship. So stress is like, we all know what stress can do to you. And then on top of that, the prenatal care, they just, that needs to be adjusted, but they spread your appointments out. So if there was something going on with my baby, I wouldn't have known because the appointments are spread out so far. And sometimes they don't even do ultrasounds because it's like, unless they feel the need to, but like they'll do like an ultrasound 1 week and then spread you out, and then you come back and they just do a little sonogram where they like listen to the movements and stuff, and then they'll just keep doing those and not do an ultrasound for like maybe until you hit your second trimester. And it's like, bro, like you probably will get like 3 ultrasounds, maybe 4 out of your entire pregnancy, which is like, we need to see what's going on. You know what I mean? But yeah, so if anybody that has ability to control that, if you watching this, fix it. Fix the prenatal care in California, bro. But yes, so I think that that played a huge part in the first pregnancy. So how I found out that I had a miscarriage was, one day I just was out with my mom and my aunt, and I was using the restroom, and it was a Panda Express. And the reason why I have to point that out is because after that, for a while, it was hard for me to go to the restroom. Period. Yeah, I was so traumatized. But I went to the restroom in Panda Express, and I thought I had to just use a, take a little dump or poopy, and while I was using the restroom, my mucus plug had come out. At the time, I didn't know because I had no idea what any of this was, and I was so terrified. And it felt like, as my mucus plug was coming out, it felt like I was like, pushing out a baby. I was scared. I was like, oh my god, my baby's coming out in the toilet. What the heck? But it was the mucus plug, and then when that dropped, it was like a plop, and then I was so scared. Just constant liquid. I thought I was peeing, but I wasn't. That was literally my bag had busted. And it's crazy. So then I kind of like, I didn't say anything to like family and stuff. They didn't even know what was going on. But I was monitoring it, and just paying attention to like the discharge, and I noticed it was different. It was just a different type of consistency. It was different. I've never seen anything like this before. So I knew. And then I ended up texting his dad the next morning, and I was like, something's not right. Like, I don't feel right. I was explaining to him what I was dealing with, and he was like, I'm pretty sure it's fine. Like, you're just probably just panicking and overreacting. I think you're fine. I think you should be fine. And I was like, okay. And he was like, but just keep me posted, of course. And so I went to work, still monitoring it, going to the bathroom quite a bit just to kind of monitor. And I went to the bathroom again, of course, and then I noticed blood. And I was like, yeah, no, red flag. I need to go to the hospital. So I ended up going to the hospital. My mom ended up taking me. And then got there. They ran all these tests, and it was just like insane. Like the wait was just long, stretched out. So during this whole wait process, I'm praying, of course, that everything is okay, and that like my baby is saved. And then, um, and then, of course, they call me into this room. The lady tells me like, "Hey, the baby is, you know, it's not gonna make it. So we're gonna have to abort because your bag ruptured, and you can't go home. If we send you home like that, there's a chance that you try to let it play out. You could go into labor any day. You could end up with infection if the baby doesn't like come out on its own. You can get a serious infection, and it's bad. It could be fatal, whatever." And so I'm like, "Bro, are you serious?" And she was like, "So otherwise, we'll just have to abort it." And I'm like, "I don't want to do that. That's not what anything I would ever choose to do. I don't want to do that." And so, of course, I go in the bathroom again. I pray, and at that point, I'm just like asking God for forgiveness, and because there's certain things that were, I felt like on my end, I could have done better, and just things that I had said that I could have, if I could take it back. Your words have power, so watch what you say. Um, but yes, so I just asked God for forgiveness, and I apologized to my baby, and I just let him know that I loved him, his dad loved him, things like that. And yeah, so I was like, and then I also prayed and asked God, I said, if this has to happen, Lord, just please let it happen naturally. Like, let my baby come out on his own. Now, I don't want to have an abortion. And so the lady tells me, like, it was a Catholic hospital, so they didn't believe in that because the baby still had a heartbeat. So she was like, we're going to have to transfer you to a different hospital. So they transferred me to a hospital in Torrance. I think it's Harbor, UCLA, or something like that. And um, so as I'm waiting on the ambulance to come and get me to transfer me, I start having contractions, and they were intense. Never went through that before, so I was like, what is this pain I am feeling? Give me something to stop this. Drugs now, insert them in me. So they gave me like this little like IV type of line thing, and they were like giving me morphine, bro, and that didn't even help. Like it would kind of like minimize them a little, like barely, and then as soon as that drug wore off, it was even more intense. And I'm like, give me more. And according to my mom, morphine is very strong of a drug. And that did not help. So you know what I was going through. But anyway, so I'm in the ambulance now, going through it. The guys in the ambulance were very helpful, very just sweethearts. And they like kind of like for a split second made me kind of forget what I was dealing with. And then when I got there to the hospital, reality set back in. The pain was like intense because the morphine was done, and I'm just going through it. They're like telling me to get my pants off and all this stuff, and I can't mentally process nothing they telling me because I'm trying to focus on this pain. They were training somebody at the time, and unfortunately she ended up with me, and I'm like, bro, like, why is this happening to me right now? Can you train on somebody else? So whatever, but it was just an overall horrible experience. And then my mom had to step out to sign papers. I ended up pushing the baby out, and they allowed me time to, like, look at my baby. And like, they put him in a bucket though. It was very weird. I'm like, this is so stupid. Why is my baby in a bucket? Like, y'all, that it was just so traumatic. They put the baby in a bucket, laid out a little blanket, put the baby in the bucket, and handed me the bucket. And so I'm staring at my baby in this bucket, and then me and my mom are kind of just like looking at the baby and talking about who he looks like, and we smiled in that moment too. I was able to get a smile out, and I was grateful that I was at least able to see, what he looked like and stuff. Um, so then they took my baby away. They did give me the option to, if I wanted to do like an autopsy, but I was like, so how does that work? And she was like, well, we would have to like deconstruct your baby basically, and pull samples to see, And I'm like, see, y'all finna cut my baby up. No, I'm cool. I don't want to know. So I just couldn't. My mind at the time couldn't handle that. So I was like, no, thank you. Which I'm probably sure they did that anyway. But yeah. So after I had the baby, they of course transferred me to a different room, the recovery room, the postpartum room, and their setup was it's like multiple people can be in one room. So it was me and this other lady, and the lady had her baby, and she was with her husband. I think at the time it was, I don't know, her husband, and the nurse was in there, giving her instructions on what to expect, how to latch and for what's a proper latch, different things like that. The baby, I hear the baby making noises, crying, and I'm just sitting there. My mom had to leave to go, freshen up or whatever, and she was like, I'll come back and get you when you're ready. And so, or she was just gonna come back. She wasn't gonna like leave me there alone. But I just remember sitting there just feeling so empty, broken, lost, confused, and just like reality really kicked in that moment. Um, that like listening to them so happy and getting ready to take their baby home, and I'm sitting here just wallowing in my misery. Like, I am going home with nothing but my sadness and brokenness. And so, yeah, I'm just sitting in this room with my thoughts and God, like, bro, what is going on right now? Why would y'all put me in this room with her? I was so mad. I was so mad. I was not happy for them at all. I am now happy. Congratulations, your kid is almost 7. But like, bro, that was so wrong of that hospital to do that. By the way, like, I mean, I don't know if there's like protocol or whatever, but like, they should have had like something should have registered. We should not put her in this room with them. Like, that's messed up. But needless to say, I ended up going home, and I just would go in and out of like feeling like what, and then crying. It was just a lot. So I ended up going home, but I went straight to the father's house, and just from that point on, I was just over there all the time. I pretty much moved in with the dude, and yeah, that was an interesting process. We were just both dealing with the emotions of it. The beginning, the first 2 weeks was like, okay, this is looking like we could get through this. Like, we're gonna get through this. It was hopeful. And then I just feel like for both of us, maybe like once like we completely just like no, all money was gone, like money just depleted. Like, I had a little bit of money left over during that time, and we just like ran out, and that's when we weren't able to like pay the pain away. Like, we weren't able to go out and do fun things anymore. We weren't able to go and escape the realities of what we were dealing with. So trauma set it. I remember just like being on his couch, back turned. He probably thought I was asleep. I was not asleep. I was crying. Boo-hoo tears, eyes bloodshot red, snot coming out my nose, crying. I would sneak off to the bathroom and cry in the shower, or just sit on the floor and just cry all the time. And he probably never even knew. And I would come out. I would wait until my face cleared up, and then I would come out. Like, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if he knew, but like, he know now. So yeah, I just spent years doing that, like sneaking off to the bathroom, crying. Wherever I was, I would just cry. You know, I would just sit and stare at babies. I was doing it to myself, but I would sit and stare at babies on Instagram all day. Looking at pregnant women was just hard for me. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't handle it. Looking at babies, period, was hard for me. Like, it was just hard. Um, Man, I just would cry. Like, I just remember just all I did that during that time was cry. I stopped going to work. I started smoking a lot of weed. Um, Stopped going to school. School was just not in my mind frame at the time. Stopped skating. I just stopped everything. Life just was done. I was done. Like, I was checking out, literally. I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, I just didn't feel like a woman. I just felt so broken, just over everything. And then, of course, my relationship started to fail. And I just feel like, because like, for me, I'm just taking accountability for what I did in that during that time. You know, I was going through a lot of emotions, and I felt like in my head, we can get through this together. We need to be together to get through this, and we can grow from this. We can end up having a baby, and life will be great. So I tried again, and that's when I had the second miscarriage. Um, he wasn't really trying to do that. He was like, I think it's too soon. We should wait. And I'm just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Let's do this. So we tried. I did get pregnant, and I lost the baby. And then, it was just a dark time for us. We deal with emotions differently. So he was dealing with it the way that he knew how, and I was dealing with it the way that I knew how. But it was really just ripping us apart. And so we ended up breaking up. And broke up for a month. And I just took that time to kind of like reevaluate what I wanted to do. So we broke up for a whole month. Like we were broken up for a month. And I just remember during that time, that's when it got really dark. Like really, really dark. Now I'm battling depression from losing my baby, plus the heartbreak of losing this man that I am so in love with, you know? And like it was, oh God, I just remember just my heart just I can't even explain the pain. The heartache is just heartbreak is, bro. I was like, I can't do this, man. Like, God, you gotta do something because I can't handle this. And he got me through it, man. I prayed so much. I just prayed so much, and I just prayed so much during that time, and it was intense. But yeah. So that's crazy. I was just going through it. But anyway, I ended up getting back together with him, and we got pregnant with our third child. And that pregnancy was interesting. It wasn't like I didn't have the sharp leg pains and stuff, but like it was just interesting. I felt like I was just so numb, and like I was hopeful, but I was just like I wasn't really present. I just wasn't. And so we did break up during that time, during that pregnancy. We were on and off during the pregnancy a lot. And still just a lot of like unnecessary back and forth. So the relationship stuff was still there. Um, Money was probably even worse. Living situation was interesting. I was in between houses. I started off with my uncle, and then we ended up transitioning to my grandma's. We were just all bouncing around. And so my living situation wasn't even the best. And then I ended up moving in with my aunt shortly before I had the miscarriage. But it was just like, it was a lot. And then we had got back together, and where was I working at the time? I was working at Champs at the time. So you already know what that they don't be paying nothing. If the hours ain't there, you ain't getting no money. Like $70 a week type. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? And this was like, I'm living in the valley and I'm driving way to Culver City. So that's gas. Like, that's my money's going on gas pretty much. So you can imagine, financial stress was still there. Living situation, it was just all over the place. So now that stress is added. And then relationship stuff hasn't really progressed. So that's like still there. Um, we haven't properly healed and we're trying to come back and have this baby. Like, what? So, yeah. Um, Fast forward, I find out that I'm having a miscarriage. Same, almost the same way. I'm getting ready for work. I end up squatting down and grab my uniform, and I feel that like a gush of liquid, and I'm like, I already knew. I knew. So I still went to work, hopeful that I'm tripping again, but like I was monitoring it, and I was seeing the same things that I seen the first time. That same type of like discharge, and I'm like, I know. So at that point, after work, I just went straight to um, his dad's house, and I was like preparing for that. So I was like, this time I'm gonna be over there, so that way, if I was like, when it happens, he can be there. And it ended up happening, and I was like, we need to go to the hospital. He took me, and they were a bit more hopeful than the first place. They had more like answers for me at least. um I guess the timing of it. But their plan was to have me elevated. They did their ultrasound. They had said originally it was a girl, which interesting. But they had said it was a girl, and they were like, we can't really tell if your bag is busted. We could do a swab to see if that liquid is amniotic fluid. And they were like, it could just be leaking, or we don't know. But they were like, what we can do is we'll elevate you, will keep you here overnight, will elevate you overnight, and hope in hopes that the bag will kind of like just go back into place. Um, and at that point, if the bag goes into place, we can do a cerclage. So that's where I first found out about the cerclage option. Um, so yeah, so that's that. The plan was great, but it didn't work. So I ended up going into labor, pushing this baby out as well. But this time was a little different. It wasn't painful, and the dad was there, and he was like holding my hand, support me through it. My aunt was able to be there, and my mom. So I had a lot more support. They were able to be there the entire time. Nobody was pulled away. It wasn't like hectic, basically. And it was an easy process. I pushed him out like maybe like 2 or 3 pushes, and there was no pain attached to it until that placenta. That was oof, but you know. And I had to have that like surgically removed or whatever because I could not bear the pain. And yeah, so that was that. And then fast forward, we ended up breaking up shortly after, me and the dad. And I just decided, like, I'm going to take this time. Because at that point, I was like, it's over. We're done. Like, we're not, it's over. So I'm going to just take this time to heal. And I just remember God saying, like, use this time to prepare for what you desire because I will give you a child. You will have a baby. You will have all of what you desire, a family, all of that, but you need to prepare for it. So that's what I did. I used that time after my third miscarriage until now to take the necessary steps to prepare to have what I desired. So I changed my diet. I, of course, just strengthen my relationship with God. That was first. And then I changed my diet. I started eating better. Still would dibble and dabble, but I was eating a lot better. More water. I started taking multivitamins, a daily, women's daily multivitamin, just regular GNC brand, a probiotic, and yeah. And then I changed my job, and that's just, I went through a series of jobs, but like I just ended up finding the right place. God led me to the right place. And then, yes, man. So fast forward to, that was 2017. So let's not fast forward too far. I don't want to make it sound like it was all peachy, like I wasn't like crying and stressing out, because I was. Um, but I was every day just, I remember the first like 2 months, I was going through it. Like, I was so sad. I prayed and I was like, Lord, bring him back, bring him back. And then I just knew that it was after the first one, I was like, he ain't coming back. So I was like, all right, God, just, if this is how it has to be, please just take this pain. I kept begging God to take the pain away. Like, just please, please take this pain away. Like, that was my prayer. And then eventually I just remember, like, I can't even tell you when, but I just remember being like happy, like not feeling so sad. And um, God was just slowly maneuvering me to this moment. And I just started to do the things that I enjoyed again, like skating and what else did I do? Oh, I started a sneaker page. This is not in any particular order, but I just started to do a lot of the things that I loved again. And just knowing that it's going to happen for me because God said so. And I utilized one of the sermons that I watched from Joel Osteen. He said to remind God of the promises that he's made you. So I just started to remind God of all of the promises that he made. That I said, God, you said that I wouldn't be barren. And I just kept repeating that to him. And then eventually it turned into me just, thank you, Lord, for my baby. My cousin was born, Kamari was born, and I had took a picture with him. He was about like 1 at the time, I think. And I had took a picture with him. and I'm gonna insert it. I took this picture with him, and I put it as my home screen. And every day I would stare at it, and I would see myself holding my child. So at that point, like, yes, the picture that I had was me and my cousin, but what I saw was me and my child. So I used that picture to just give me hope. That picture gave me hope. Kamari alone just gave me hope. But yeah, so he helped me to like break from that like fear of being around a baby and holding a baby. In the beginning it was rough, but like just being around, every time I was able to interact with him, it made me hopeful that like this is possible, you know what I mean? So shouts out to Kamari, thank you for that, man. But yeah, so fast forward to 2021. I am I got back with my son's dad again, and we came together, and we, you know, did what needed to be done, and we got pregnant with Khalil. And that pregnancy was very interesting. I did a lot of things different. I did a lot of things different. Some things looked very similar to the past, but I was like, I've been here before, so I know what to do. I'm not afraid. I know what to do. So we did not stay together during the pregnancy. We were on and off again, but I was like, I've been here before, so I'm not going to stress about it. Like, if we're supposed to be together, we'll be together. If not, then that's fine. But one thing I know is I'm going to focus on this baby. And that's what I did. I put all my energy into that. Worry and doubt tried to creep up, and it definitely did, but it did not prevail. Um, I just kept thanking God. Every time I felt the negativity popping up in my mind, I would just say, thank you, Lord, for my healthy, full term baby. Thank you, Lord, for my healthy, full term baby. And I would just hold my stomach and I would keep repeating it until I felt a sense of peace. And then, yeah, so that's how I kind of combated that, the negativity that tried to creep up, because it definitely did. I was able to, this time, I did not continue to go to the same clinic that I was going to with the other three. I immediately went to um, a doctor that I had seen, because I had got a lot of tests run after I had my third miscarriage, and they did an ultrasound on my cervix to measure it. And he did say that it was shorter than normal. He was like, it's not the worst thing in the world. You were born that way. It's whatever. I've seen people have healthy pregnancies like that. He was like, but worst case, you'll just have to have a cerclage. And I was like, okay, cool. I've heard this before, so now I have the answers. And that kind of gave me peace with after that third miscarriage as well, because I was finally getting answers. Um, so fast forward to the pregnancy with Khalil. Um, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a cerclage. Before we get to a certain amount of time, this is what the doctor said. He was like, we'll just get cerclage, put in, get you off work, and then you'll be good. You'll have to be on bed rest, but you know, whatever. So I'm like, whatever it takes, I'll do it. So then he's like, I also want to send you to a specialist. So he sends me to a specialist outside of himself. Gosh, I need to figure out what the exact title of the specialist is, but she's like a high risk doctor basically. And she deals with all high risk pregnancies and things like that. It's a certain name for it. I'm going to insert it down in the video. But I was seen by her. She was against the cerclage. She was like, I don't think you should do it. She told me all the things that I did not know about the cerclage, like the negative things, basically. Like, it's still, there's risk of, you get it put in place, your bag can still bust. And at that point, if that happens, it can literally rupture your cervix, and then you won't be able to have kids. It can also um, um, you run the risk of infection, And then the last one was, which was like the end all be all, I ain't doing this, was you can I'm sorry, you can I lost it. You can still, when they're doing the surgery, they can like bust your bag with their little tool, and you can have a miscarriage. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, so the very thing that I'm getting this for, to prevent this from happening, can still happen because I get this. Like, no, not doing it. So at that point, I was like, what? I was so confused. And then, so she gave me her plan. Her plan was, she was like, I want to give you more frequent appointments. You need to exercise and your diet. Those are the three main things she preached. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I strongly believe that with these three things, you will have a healthy full-term baby. She was like, and honestly, it's God's will. If God wants this to happen for you, it'll happen. If not, it won't. And I was like, girl, are you even, like, what are you doing, bro? But it was so many different little things trying to deter me from going to her. The reviews were not the greatest, and I remember just panicking about that, not wanting to even go to this doctor. And my best friend Gabby was like, look, I say you just go and see for yourself. If you don't like it, you don't have to continue to go there. And I was like, you right. So I did. I took her advice and I went, and I'm glad I did. And I almost panicked after she, because in my mind, I'm like, this is not what I wanted to hear. I thought she was going to be like, let's get the cerclage, yes. But when she was like saying all the things that I actually needed to hear, I was like not ready for that. And I was about to panic and stop. And then God was like, relax. Remember what you prayed for. And I prayed for during the time from the third miscarriage to the point of pregnancy with Khalil. I have been praying for, I don't want to get the cerclage. Like, I want to be normal. I want to be like the normal people and just have a regular pregnancy, no cerclage. I didn't even know at the time why I was really praying that, but I was just like, I don't want to do that, God. Like, I want to be normal. I want to have a normal pregnancy, just normal. And the prayer for that got even stronger once I found out I was pregnant. And then that right there was confirmation. So it gave me a sense of peace when I heard God's voice say that to me. So I was like, cool. All right. So I went back to my other doctor that was going to put the cerclage in. He was like, so, what do you want to do? He gave me time to think about it and talk it over, of course. And honestly, I didn't even talk to Will's dad at the time. I was just like, this is a decision I have to make. Like, I'm doing it. I'm not getting it. So I didn't do it. I don't even know if he knows to this day that I didn't get it. So if he is watching this video, I didn't get the cerclage. But yeah, I ended up having my baby like regular, no cerclage needed. Also, I don't know if you remember, I said that the guy said my cervix was a lot shorter than the normal person. So during these appointments with the specialist, she was measuring my cervix every single time. And the first appointment, I asked her, how's my cervix? Every appointment I would ask that. And she was like, it's great. She told me what it was measured. It was like 4.5 centimeters. And I think she said that's like what they look for when they're looking at that. And that's normal, like, length. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah. She was like, it's closed, it's intact, and it's long. And I'm like, it's long. It's normal. It's the normal length. She's like, yeah. So basically, I just remember being so thankful, and I thank God so much because, like, basically, what that means is I went from a short cervix to a long cervix. It grew. Like, you can't tell me God isn't real. So, and it stayed that way the entire pregnancy. I only had one scare, which was my fluid levels had risen. But that's because, certain stress factors had entered into my life at that time. And um, I had kind of slipped up on my diet. I wasn't exercise, all that. So I just kind of fell off the wheel for a little bit. But once I had that scare, I was like, no. So I got back on everything that I needed to do, diet and all of that. Certain things were removed, and yeah, like my fluid levels went back down. Um, and here we are. Khalil's born. So, and I went 39 weeks, full term. He's healthy. He was a chunky little chunker. He's thinning out now because he's getting older. I'm not going to do that month stuff. My baby is 24 months now. He is one, okay? One and some change. It's almost 14 months. But, like, sometimes I look at him and I'm just being all like, dang, I really have a baby. Like, when I pushed him out, I was just like, this is like, he's real. I'm like, what? I just cried. I was like, and I just thanked God the entire time. I was like, thank you. That's the first thing I said. And then I was just like, wow, he was so beautiful. Like, just everything that I could have imagined. And just all the dreams that I had been having, everything in that moment when I stared at him, I was like, it all makes sense now. All of that was to prepare me for this, was to prepare me and strengthen me for this, was to prepare me, strengthen me, and build an appreciation in me for this. So, this long video is stretched out just to say that you have to believe in the things that you desire. You have to have faith. And having faith is believing in the things that beyond what you see. So things may look real ugly in front of you, but you have to believe in what's beyond the ugly. You have to believe in the vision that God gives you. So you have the vision in your mind. You got to look past what you see. And that's having faith and knowing that it's going to happen. Which is what I was literally being tested on that entire time. And I stuck through, and I have Khalil. I'm going to insert a little slideshow here, but I have Khalil. He was doing some little dance. I have Khalil, and I'm thankful and grateful every day. I thank God every day for him, and I wouldn't change anything. I feel like everything happened exactly the way that it was supposed to happen. So all those people telling me during that time that, everything happens for a reason, I hated it. But my voice just cracked. I hated it, but you guys were right. I get it now. Like, everything happened. The timing, all of it, it just happened at the right time. So, I just want to thank God, and I want to encourage anyone that is dealing with that, going through miscarriage or hoping to have a baby, or whatever the case is. Your relationship is on the rocks. You don't think that you guys are gonna last, because that's the season I'm in now. Like, I'm single. We're not together anymore, but there's love there. I will always love him. He has been a part of my life for a while now, and all of my children were blessings, and without him I wouldn't have them. So shouts outs to you, sir. So I just want to thank him as well, and I want to thank my support system that supported me through this journey. I'm still on the journey of life. My next move is, I do want to be married. I will be married one day, but no rush. I'm working on other things in my life to better myself. But That's another video. But yes, so I just feel like thank y'all for bearing with me through this video. It's long. I've been trying to I've recorded it at least 3 times to try to make it short, and it's impossible. This story is no way to make it short. So, thank you guys, and please like, comment, share, subscribe, and just keep praying, keep believing, and until next time, bye.